The phone buzzes just as I'm stepping onto my porch with a mug of coffee. It's a quiet Sunday morning, the lake perfectly still, the sky brushed with a pale pink that always makes me feel like I've made it, really made it. 3 years ago, I was barely affording rent in a one-bedroom apartment downtown. Now, I own this lake house. My peace. My reward. The caller ID flashes, Mom. I hesitate. Calls from her are never casual, they're loaded with something. But I answer anyway, because some habits are harder to break than others. Hi, Mom. Claire. Finally. I've been trying to reach you all morning, she says in that clipped tone that already sounds rehearsed. My stomach tightens. What's going on? Oh, nothing bad. Sweetheart, she says, her voice dripping with fake calm. Actually, good news. Your father and I have decided we're finally going to downsize. That old house is too big for us. I blink, confused. Okay, that sounds good. Yes, and we were talking with your sister last night, and Brooke said something that just made perfect sense. Here it comes. What did she say? I ask, bracing. That your lake house would be perfect for us, Mom says cheerfully, as if she's announcing a surprise vacation. It's close to town, has a guest suite, and that dock. Oh, your father loves fishing. We'd fit right in. For a second, I actually laugh. You mean, like, visiting? A pause. A deadly one. No, Claire, she says slowly. We're talking about moving in. I freeze. The warmth drains from my body. You're kidding. Of course not, she replies, almost offended. We've already told Brooke we'd start moving in around Thanksgiving. It's perfect timing before Christmas. I lower the phone, staring at the lake like maybe I misheard. They told my sister they were moving into my house, before even asking me. Mom, I finally manage. My throat tight. This is my home. Well, yes, dear, but you're alone out there. And it's far too big for one person. Family should be together for the holidays. We thought you'd be happy to help. Happy? I worked 2 jobs, skipped vacations, and built my career from scratch to afford this house. And now, they're just claiming it? Before I can answer, I hear another voice in the background. Brooke. Hey, tell her not to freak out, she shouts, giggling. We'll help redecorate. Maybe paint over that depressing beige in the living room. I can practically see her smirking, holding her phone like she's doing me a favor. Brooke, this isn't happening, I say sharply. Oh, come on, Claire, she says, her tone instantly turning patronizing. Mom and Dad deserve comfort. You barely even use half the house. They deserve comfort, sure, but not at my expense. Mom gasps, the guilt already loading in her voice. Claire, that's a cruel thing to say. We're your parents, after everything we've done for you. Here it is, the same script as always. When I was 16, they borrowed my college savings to pay off Brooke's car. When I was 21, they called me ungrateful for moving out. And now, I'm cruel for saying no. I'm sorry, Mom, I say firmly. You can't move in here. There's a long silence. Then, we'll talk about this later. I'll send you the list of things we want to bring. She hangs up before I can respond. I just stand there, gripping my coffee mug so hard my knuckles ache. The lake is still calm, but inside, something cracks. That night, I get a text from Brooke. Brooke, heard you told Mom no, seriously? She's heartbroken. Brooke, you're being selfish. It's not like you even have anyone there. I stare at the messages until my chest burns. Being alone doesn't mean I owe anyone space in my peace. But they never understood that. They only saw what they could take. I scroll through old photos, me building furniture in the garage, repainting walls, fixing leaks by myself. Every inch of this home was earned. And now, they think they can just move in because I'm too soft to fight back. Not this time. I lock my phone and whisper to the quiet lake outside my window. They're not taking this from me. Because deep down, I know, this isn't just about space. It's about control. And I'm finally ready to take mine back. The week after that phone call, I stopped answering family texts. Not out of anger, at least not entirely, but because every message made my chest tighten a little more. Mom sent daily reminders about furniture measurements. Dad asked what size bed would fit best in the guest room. Brooke sent Pinterest boards with captions like fresh ideas for Mom's new space. They were acting like it was already decided. Like my no had evaporated into the air. By Friday, I was so tense I could barely focus on work. My fam was in the middle of a big lakefront renovation project. Ironically, just a few miles from my own house. The clients wanted serenity, balance, a sense of belonging. Words I was starting to forget the meaning of. When I finally got home that evening, headlights flashed across the driveway. A black SUV. And I already knew. Mom and Dad stepped out, dressed like they were attending brunch instead of staging a home invasion. Brooke followed behind, filming a holiday family surprise for her followers. I didn't even have time to put down my laptop before Mom called out, "Surprise! We thought we'd come take a look at where our new rooms will be." My pulse jumped. "You're kidding, right?" Dad clapped his hands together. "You're going to love this, honey. I brought the floor plans from your realtor's website. We'll make sure everything fits." Fits? I repeat, disbelieving. "You can't just." Brooke cuts me off, swinging her camera toward my face. "Everyone, this is my sister Claire, the architect who designed this amazing house. She's letting our parents move in for the holidays." I grab her phone mid-recording. "Delete that. Now." She snatches it back, scowling. "God, you're so dramatic." I turn to Mom and Dad. "You can't move in." I said no. Mom's face falls into that practiced, wounded expression. "Claire, you're overreacting. It's temporary. We just need somewhere cozy while the old house sells." "Then rent somewhere cozy," I shoot back. "You can afford it." She sighs, as if I'm the problem. "We don't want to rent, sweetheart. Family should stay together for Christmas." The word family lands like a knife, because it never really included me, not when I worked 2 jobs to put myself through college, not when I skipped holidays to cover Brooke's bills, not when they forgot my birthday 3 years in a row. Dad steps closer, voice hardening. "You're being disrespectful. You think success gives you the right to look down on us." I swallow the lump in my throat. This isn't about success. It's about boundaries. Brooke groans. "Oh my God, Claire, you're making this weird. Just let them stay. You're single, you've got space, and it's Christmas. Who says no to their own parents?" I meet her eyes and feel something inside me snap. Apparently, I do. Silence. For a moment, even the wind seems to stop. Mom looks at me like I've cursed her. "I can't believe you would talk to your family like this. Your sister has done so much for you." I almost laugh. "Like what?" "Taking credit for the housewarming party I planned. Using my name to get sponsorship deals." Her face tightens. "You're ungrateful." That word again. The one they always use to keep me small. I take a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay steady. "I love you, but this house is mine. You're not moving in." Dad shakes his head, muttering something about me being selfish and cold-hearted. Mom starts to cry, the kind of tears that don't come from sadness but from manipulation. Brooke wraps an arm around her, glaring at me. "You know what? Forget it. We'll find somewhere else. But don't expect an invite to Christmas dinner." She storms off toward the car, phone already back in hand. I can hear her narrating, some people just don't appreciate family anymore. I stay on the porch as they leave, the tail lights fading into the dark. When the last trace of their car disappears, I finally exhale. The air is sharp, cold, real. For the first time, I didn't fold. But victory doesn't feel like I expected. It's not triumph, it's relief tangled with guilt. The kind of guilt they taught me to feel whenever I chose myself. Inside, the house feels different. Quieter, but not empty. I light a candle, sit on the couch, and whisper to the room, "You're safe. You're mine." It sounds silly, but it helps. Because this house isn't just wood and glass. It's proof that I built something no one can claim. Or so I thought. The next morning, I wake up to 20 missed calls. Texts from Brooke. "Brooke, congrats, you're viral." "Brooke, people are calling you the Ice Queen daughter." "Brooke, mom's crying nonstop. Hope you're happy." My hands shake as I open the video. It's Brooke's clip from last night, edited, cropped, twisted. It makes it look like I screamed at Mom, like I kicked them out in the cold. The caption reads, "When your rich sister forgets the meaning of family." The comments are brutal. Thousands of strangers calling me selfish, heartless, spoiled. I sink onto the couch, chest hollow. They took my boundaries and turned them into entertainment. Outside, the lake ripples under a gray morning sky. For a moment, I considered deleting everything, apologizing, fixing what isn't even broken. But then I remember that moment on the porch, how it felt to finally say no. No, I think. Not this time. If they want a story, I'll give them the truth. I open my laptop, staring at the blinking cursor, and I start to write. The video hit 2 million views in less than a day. By Monday morning, my inbox was flooded, half with hate, half with people offering exclusive interview deals. Apparently, my private life had become public property overnight. I sat at my kitchen table, scrolling through comments that blurred together into a single ugly chorus. Ungrateful daughter. Poor parents. Classic money changes people. I almost deleted my account right then. But then something strange happened. My phone rang. A familiar name. Lydia. Lydia was my old college roommate, the one who'd seen me through the nights I worked 3 jobs just to pay rent. We hadn't spoken in years, but her voice was warm, steady. "Claire, I just saw the video," she said. "Anne, I know you. That's not who you are. You okay?" The kindness cracked something in me. I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear it. "I'm surviving," I said. "Barely." "Good. Because you don't need to explain yourself to strangers who only saw 30 seconds of your life. You worked for everything you have. Don't let them take that from you." Her words sank deep. I stared out the window at the lake, the reflection of my house shimmering in the ripples. For years, that reflection had been my dream, a home built from nothing but my own will. And now my family had tried to claim it like it was a gift they were owed. Something inside me hardened, not with bitterness, but with clarity. I opened my laptop again, not for an apology post, but for something better. I wrote for hours, pouring everything out, the nights I'd begged for support, the times my parents ignored my calls, the way my sister used me for clout while calling me uptight. I didn't name names, but I told the truth, about growing up as the family scapegoat, the invisible child who was only noticed when she was useful. The words flowed like water breaking through a dam. When I finished, I hit post. It wasn't viral like Brooke's clip, but it reached the right people. Hundreds of comments came in, quiet, thoughtful ones. People saying they'd lived it too. People who'd been gaslighted by their own families, called selfish for setting boundaries. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. But my family didn't take it well. That night, Mom showed up again. No warning. No apology. She stood on my porch, her hair still perfect, her eyes red from tears, or maybe rehearsed regret. "Claire," she said softly, "your post hurt us. Your father can't sleep. Brooke's sponsors are threatening to drop her." I folded my arms. "That's not my problem." "It is your problem," she snapped. "Because we're family. Families forgive. Families take care of each other." I almost laughed. "You mean like when I needed help with tuition and you told me to ask Brooke because she was the responsible one?" or when Dad said I'd never make it as an architect because it was a man's field. You didn't take care of me then. She blinked, taken aback. You're twisting things. No, I said, stepping closer. I'm remembering them correctly for the first time. Her lips trembled. We didn't mean to hurt you. We just didn't understand your choices. You didn't have to understand them, I replied quietly. You just had to respect them. The silence that followed was heavy. I could hear the lake outside, calm and endless, reflecting the truth neither of us could escape. Then she whispered, So that's it? You're just cutting us off. I hesitated. No, I'm cutting off the version of you that thinks love means ownership. If you can learn to treat me like a person instead of an ATM with emotions, maybe we'll try again. Her eyes filled with something between anger and shame, but she didn't argue. She just turned and walked away, her perfume fading into the cold air. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it until my breathing steadied. For the first time, the quiet didn't feel like loneliness, it felt like freedom. The next morning, I drove into town. The bakery owner, a kind woman named Renee, smiled as she handed me my coffee. Don't mind the gossip, she said softly. Half the folks here wish they had your courage. That word, courage, hit different. It didn't feel like bravery. It felt like exhaustion finally rewarded. Back home, I walked along the dock. The water shimmered under the winter sun. The air smelled clean. For the first time in years, my life wasn't revolving around trying to be enough for people who'd already decided I wasn't. Later that day, I got an email from an interior design magazine, one I'd admired for years. They wanted to feature my lake house in their Women Who Built Their Dreams issue. I stayed at the screen for a long time, heart pounding. Maybe this was what life looked like when you stopped chasing validation and started living it. When the issue came out a month later, the article didn't mention my family at all. It was just me, standing on my porch, smiling into the morning light. The headline read, The architect who built more than a home, she built herself. Mom didn't call. Brooke didn't post. But Dad sent a text. Just one line. Your mother saw the article. We're proud of you. I didn't respond. Not out of hate, just peace. I looked around my living room, sunlight spilling through the tall glass windows, touching every corner I'd designed with my own hands. This was my life, my work, my story, and for once, I didn't owe anyone an explanation for it. A month passed before the storm truly hit. It started with a phone call from my Aunt Lorraine. She never calls unless there's gossip, and her tone told me this wasn't small talk. Claire, honey, have you seen your sister's latest post? I sighed. No. Should I? Probably not, but you should know before it gets worse. Against my better judgment, I opened my phone. There it was, Brooke's carefully crafted heartbreak video. Soft music, mascara tears, a monologue about family betrayal. She never mentioned my name, but she didn't need to. The comments filled in the blanks. I'd never abandoned my parents like that. Money changes people. Her sister sounds awful. Over 3 million views in 2 days. Brooke knew exactly what she was doing. I closed the app, my hands trembling with anger I didn't want to feel anymore. For a long time, I'd told myself distance meant peace, but watching her twist the truth so publicly reopened something raw inside me. I wasn't angry about reputation or pride. I was angry because it proved she hadn't learned a thing. That night, I walked through my lake house, barefoot on the hardwood floors I'd refinished by hand. Every plank carried a memory, every nail hammered during sleepless nights when the only thing keeping me going was the dream of finally belonging somewhere. Now, even that space felt invaded again. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Alex Harper, a friend from college who'd always told me to build boundaries like you build houses, solid foundations. I need your help, I said. My family's using my property and image for content. I want to make sure they legally can't. He chuckled softly. I've been waiting for this call. Don't worry. We'll draft a cease and desist that'll make them think twice about ever mentioning you again. Within 24 hours, Brooke's video was gone, replaced by a vague personal boundaries and healing post. But the silence that followed wasn't peace, it was calculation. I knew my family too well. Sure enough, 3 days later, Mom texted me for the first time since the confrontation. Your father's not well. Stress is affecting his heart. Are you happy now? I stayed at the message for a full minute. That same old guilt tried to creep in, the one that always made me surrender. But this time, I caught it mid-step. I typed slowly. I'm sorry Dad's unwell, but my boundaries aren't the cause of his stress. Years of ignoring them are. Then I set my phone down and went outside. The air smelled like pine and smoke from the nearby cabins. The lake reflected the early spring sun, and for a moment, I just breathed. That weekend, I decided to do something radical. I invited people into my life who didn't drain me. Old friends, colleagues, my contractor Miguel and his wife. We had dinner on the deck, candles, music, laughter, no judgment, no hidden motives. At one point, Miguel raised a glass. To new beginnings, he said. And for the first time in my adult life, I toasted without anxiety. But the peace didn't last long. The following week, I got a letter, handwritten, postmarked from my parents' address. Inside was a note from Dad. Claire, I've been thinking about everything that's happened. I know your mother handled things poorly, but we're not getting any younger, and Brooke's family needs stability. We can sell our house and move closer to you if you'll just let them stay in the lake house until we find something smaller. Please, sweetheart, don't be so cold. I read the letter twice, folded it neatly, and slid it back into the envelope. Then, I did something I never thought I'd do. I drove to my parents' home. The driveway looked smaller than I remembered. The flower beds Mom used to fuss over were dying, neglected. Dad opened the door before I even knocked. He looked older, softer somehow, but the moment he smiled, I saw it, the same charm he used to negotiate business deals and manipulate family dynamics. We sat in the living room, surrounded by old photographs. I noticed how every frame on the mantel featured Brooke's family, not one of me. I got your letter, I said. He nodded, hands clasped. We're not asking for much, just until they find a place. I know, I replied quietly, but I'm not changing my mind. He frowned. You'd really rather leave your family homeless than show compassion. I looked him dead in the eyes. You've spent my whole life teaching me that compassion doesn't mean letting people walk over you. I finally learned the lesson. You just don't like that it's being used on you. He didn't say a word, just stayed, as if seeing me for the first time. I'm not the quiet girl who apologizes for existing anymore, I continued. I'm not the backup plan, or the fixer, or the scapegoat. I'm just Claire. And this, I gestured to the lake house photo they had on the table, is the life I built when no one else believed in me. Something flickered in his eyes. Pride? Regret? I'll never know. But for the first time, he didn't argue. He just nodded slowly, as though finally understanding what he'd lost. When I left, Mom didn't come out to say goodbye. Brooke's car was in the driveway, but she didn't appear either. Maybe that was for the best. As I drove away, the setting sun hit my windshield, blinding but beautiful. In the rear-view mirror, my childhood home grew smaller until it vanished behind the curve of the road. That night, I sat on my porch with a blanket wrapped around my shoulders and a cup of tea in hand. The lake was calm, the moon reflecting like silver glass. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was missing a family. I felt like I was finally building one, the kind made of trust, self-respect, and peace. 6 months later, the lake house didn't just look different, it felt different. The walls no longer echoed with hesitation or guilt. Every corner told a story of transformation, the warmth of new paint, the quiet strength of oak beams, and the calm reflection of sunlight gliding over the water each morning. I used to think home meant people, family, laughter, voices. But now, I understood something deeper. Home was the space where peace didn't need permission. I was sitting on the deck one morning, laptop open, when an email notification popped up. Subject line, family reunion, June. From Mom. I almost laughed. Her message was short, carefully worded, like a press release. We're hosting a small gathering at the old house. Brooke and the kids will be there. It would mean a lot to your father if you came. Love, Mom. There was no apology, no acknowledgement of the chaos they'd caused. Just another invitation, wrapped in emotional obligation. I closed the email without replying. Instead, I opened the architectural sketches for my next project, a series of affordable eco-cabins for single mothers starting over. The idea had come to me one sleepless night after I realized how many women stayed trapped by guilt or dependency. I wanted to build sanctuaries for them, small, beautiful places that whispered you're safe now. When I told my business partner, James, he said, "You're not just building homes, Claire. You're building second chances." He was right. By late afternoon, I was driving into town to meet with local investors. The road curved around the lake, sunlight flashing through trees, and for once I didn't flinch at the sight of my reflection in the glass. I looked grounded, present, whole. On my way back, I stopped at a cafe I used to avoid, one Brooke used to brag about visiting during her content days. The barista, a girl with pink hair and a warm smile, recognized me from a local magazine feature about sustainable design. "You're Claire Donovan, right? The architect with the lake project?" I nodded, surprised. "Yeah, that's me." She smiled. "My aunt volunteers at the foster home you helped furnish. They said you changed everything for those kids." I didn't know what to say. For a second, the old me wanted to deflect, to minimize. But instead, I just smiled. "That means a lot. Thank you." Outside, the wind carried the scent of pine and rain. The same air that once felt heavy now felt like freedom. That night, I lit candles across the living room, simple ones that filled the air with lavender. I poured a glass of wine, set my phone to silent, and played the song I used to listen to while drafting my first blueprints. Halfway through the melody, I heard the faint hum of tires on gravel. My security lights flicked on. Through the window, I saw a familiar figure walking toward the porch. Brooke. For a moment, I froze. Not out of fear, just disbelief. She looked different. No designer clothes, no perfect hair. Just jeans, a sweatshirt, and eyes swollen from crying. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. She hesitated, hands trembling slightly. "I know I shouldn't just show up," she said, voice breaking. "But I needed to tell you I'm sorry." The words hung in the air, fragile and uncertain. "I said awful things about you online. About what happened with the house. I thought if I made you the villain, I wouldn't have to face how much I ruined everything myself." I studied her face, the sister who'd once humiliated me in front of our parents, the woman who'd expected my success to be her safety net. And yet, standing here now, stripped of all performance, she looked human. "I forgive you," I said quietly. Her eyes widened. "Just like that." "Forgiving you doesn't mean letting you in," I clarified gently. "It means I'm done carrying the weight of what you did." She nodded slowly, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I get it." "I hope you do," I replied. "Because boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. And not everyone gets a key." She managed a small, broken smile. "You sound like someone who's finally at peace." "I am," I said simply. She left soon after, her car headlights fading down the road. When silence returned, it wasn't empty, it was comforting. Like the lake itself had exhaled. I sat back on the porch, watching the moon ripple across the water. The reflection looked like shattered glass stitched back together, imperfect, but stronger for the breaks. For so long, I'd chased love by bending myself smaller, trying to be what everyone needed. The quiet daughter, the dependable one, the emotional cushion for everyone's mistakes. Now, I realized, peace isn't given by others. It's built, one plank at a time, one truth at a time, until the foundation feels like home. A few weeks later, the eco-cabin project officially launched. Local news covered it, calling it a movement of healing architecture. Investors poured in, but I didn't do it for the headlines. I did it because I finally understood something no degree had ever taught me. You can rebuild a house 1,000 times, but rebuilding yourself, that's the masterpiece. The last scene of that year came quietly. Autumn leaves drifted over the lake, painting the water gold. I stood barefoot on the dock, coffee in hand, the world still and forgiving. Behind me, the lake house glowed through its glass walls, warm light spilling like hope. No visitors, no expectations, no noise. Just me, Claire, standing in everything I'd once been told I didn't deserve. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. I felt free.